moving in the cell, in the room. And then slowly, I got up on my bed and I started looking around. It was so strange. And I was kind of afraid, scared, because that was a strange thing in my life. A light and bubbles of light of different colors, green, purple, yellow, blue, red, all kinds of bubbles of lights in the room. And then right in front of me, out of the wall, another drop of light came out. And that started expanding right in front of my eyes, like a movie screen. And in the middle of the screen, there was this figure that looks like a person made of light. No details in his face, but it was a figure, a standing by. And after a while, a voice came out. Not only from that, but from all around the room. And it said, I am Jesus. Believe in me and follow me.
Wow.
If you believe in me and follow me, I am the only one who can give you a new life, the life that you are looking for. That was it. One after the other, the light went on by, and the darkness came back. The contrast was between light and darkness. Before I know, I was on the floor. I was not on the bed, no more. On the floor, sweating, the whole my body shivering and crying and weeping. The whole hours after that, I was there on the floor. And in the morning, I got up. I was not certain that I saw those things and I heard those things, but I also certain that I heard it and I saw it. I didn't say, okay. I said, I have no idea who you are in the first place. But I jotted down on my notebook everything I saw and everything I heard. And that day, after I did that in the morning, involuntarily, for the first time in my life, I went on my knees on the floor and stretched my hands. And I started saying this. I had no idea that was a prayer because I had no experience of prayer before that in my life. Remember, I was a communist. I was an atheist. I didn't know about prayer or the Bible or anything. But on my knees, stretching my hands, I started praying. I said, you who called yourself Jesus, I have no idea who you are, and I have no idea how you give a new life for me, but that's what I am looking for. So if you are real, why don't you come back and show me? Well, the next day, in my disappointment, nothing happened. I went to my bed again, but in the middle of the night, he surely came back. I woke up. And he did the same thing that he did the previous day. He came within the light and he said, I am Jesus. Believe in me and follow me. I am the only one who can give you a new life that you are looking for. But he also told me two more things. He said, I will get you out of this place and I will send you to the world.
Wow.
And you will testify of me.
Wow.
Wow. So that's the beginning. How how many think that would be cool to meet Jesus like that in a shining light? You probably wouldn't like the solitary confinement, though.
Well, this is one of his promises, right?
Yes.
He said, I will get you out of this place and I will send you to the world and you will testify of me. I am testifying in front of you the name of Jesus.
So tell us, sir, what happened? Like, did you immediately get out of jail? What happened right after that?
Well, he also told me one more thing. He said, don't be afraid. I am always with you.
Wow.
And that gave a meaning for me because I was thinking of every day, I was thinking of being killed in that prison cell. He said, don't be afraid. I am always with you. And then what happened right after that were three things in my first experience of the new life. Peace, joy, and hope. In that prison cell, and when I tell you prison, the Ethiopian prison, it's a real prison. It's one of the most horrible prisons, maybe in the world. And I was in solitary confinement. In that prison cell, in that circumstance, I became one of the most peaceful persons.
Wow.
Peace reigns in me, and joy was there from the inside of me. And hope. I started saying for the first time after 5 years, I started saying, someday I will get out of this place. Those three things were the first experience in my life. Peace, joy, and hope. My friends, if you follow Jesus, these three things will reign in your life.
So, Your Excellency, talk about when you finally got to see your wife and you were kind of afraid to tell her what had happened to you.
7 more years after that, all in all 12 years in prison. But after a few months, after Jesus found me, one of the police guards, out of the 3 who met Jesus because of my testimony, he brought me a cell phone. He sneaked it with a number. And he gave it to me and he said, get this, I'll give you 30 minutes. And this is the number of your wife, who was at that time in Kenya in refugee camp, in another country, okay? Thousands of miles away. So he said, call her, and then I will come back after 30 minutes and take the cell phone. I was not allowed to call. So then I called my wife, and she picked up. And while I was praying, I started telling her what happened in my life. Because she was also a communist. She was also a guerrilla fighter with me. She was also an atheist. So I was praying so that she would also see this Jesus. So I told her the story, and at some point she said, are you done? I said, yeah. And she asked me, when did that happen? I told her the days that Jesus was with me. And she said, right on the same days, Jesus was with me. Isn't that the dearest Lord?
Yes.
That is what he did to us. So after 12 years, my wife and I, in different places, met Jesus and get together again. And we started our families anew. Here is the thing. After about a year and a half, for more than a year and a half, actually, after I met Jesus, he was always nagging me on one thing. And I was always resisting, saying, no, Jesus, no, Jesus. And he was saying, it's good for you. And you know what that was? Forgive those friends of yours who puts you to jail. Because I was angry and I was always thinking of taking revenge. In fact, I was not sure whether I could come out of that prison, but I was thinking of killing them. So he was always nagging me in his spirit, in my heart, to forgive. And I was saying, no, how can I forgive these people? For more than a year and a half, I fought against Jesus, saying no. But at some point, I couldn't continue. He had to break my heart. And I said, in tears, in the middle of the night one day, while I was praying, the Bible I had, somebody gave me after that. It was like the whole words of the Bible when I opened and tried to read, it was like saying, forgive. It was like saying, forgive. I couldn't. So at some point I had to break in tears. And I said, Jesus, okay. I couldn't go on. But I also can't forgive by myself. So would you please help me to do that? And then, after a while, after several struggles and tears and fight, and then after that, breaking, I started praying for those people, for those persons. And here is what happened. When I was released from that prison, the first thing I did was to call to one of the friends who was a president who put me to jail. And he was my best friend, by the way. He's the one who conspired against me and put me to jail. Because he was afraid that I would be elected by the next election. So I called to his office and I told to his aide I wanted to meet him. And after a few days he called me and he said he agreed to meet you. You can go to his office. And I went to his office, I met him. I hugged him and I said, I forgive you.
And what was his response when you did that?
He was stunned. He couldn't say anything, a word. He didn't expect for me to say that. What he was expecting was, complaining. Why did you do that? Why did you do this? And so on. And instead I said, I forgive you. Let's be friends again. And I told him, I came here not to complain or not to get back on those things and tell you, but I came here for two things. Number one, to tell you that I forgive you. And number two, to tell you about Jesus.
And what did he think of your message of Jesus?
I told him about Jesus. In fact, I told him, you don't have to go to that prison cell as I did to know Jesus.
Nice. Do you want?
Well, he didn't say okay.
To see Jesus.
He also didn't say no. He knew that I was serious at that time. But I'm sure he was touched. That was what happened. This was the story, in short, the story of Jesus. But here are about 2 or 3 things I want to tell you. From what I understand from who Jesus is. Number 1, Jesus is not a religion. He is not. And he never said that. Jesus never said that I am a religion. Jesus never said that I brought a religion. He's not a denomination. He's not a Methodist. He's not a Mennonite. He's not a Catholic. He's not an Orthodox. He's nothing. He's just Jesus. He is the person of Jesus. I don't care whether you are a Catholic or a Protestant or an evangelical or an Orthodox. That's fine. But I know that Jesus is nothing of this. He's just Jesus. His name is Jesus. And the power of Jesus is his name. What he said is, follow me. He didn't say follow religion. He didn't say follow denomination. He didn't say anything else except saying, follow me. Just follow him as a person, a God, a creator, a friend, as he said. He's our friend. He's our Lord. He's our King, but he's also our friend. He said that. Let's follow him as a friend, as a Lord, as a King.
Amen.
Number two, what I understood from Jesus, he is the simplest thing I ever met. His teachings are simple. There is no gray area in his teachings. There is no left, there is no right. It's just straight. He said, just for example, love your enemy. There is no left and right and here and there. Just love your enemy. Full stop. Period.
Yeah.
Forgive. Otherwise, if you are not forgiven, you will not be forgiven. Period. There is nothing either, whether, if, but, however, and so on and so forth. Nothing of that kind of thing. Just forgive. Seek first the kingdom of God. And then all other things will be added, given to you.
Amen.
And then we say, after we read this, we say, what happened if that is so? What happened if I get this? What happened if nothing happens? What happens if I don't get that? If I don't get this? He didn't say anything of that. He just said, seek first my kingdom, and then all other things will be given to you. That's all. So, Jesus is simple. His principles, his teachings are simple, straightforward. The problem is not in Jesus. The problem is with us. We complicate what he says. We complicate it with theology, with systematic, with integrated, with thus, with that, with this denomination, with that denomination, with that religion, with that. Nothing. Jesus is simple, straightforward. Follow me. Number 3, you can go to church every week, every Sunday, worship, fellowship, teachings from the pastors, that's fine. That's fine. That's good. But never think of being a disciple of Jesus only in that method. There is another method that Jesus himself did, and it's called small group. Get with your 3, 5, 7, 9, 12, not more than 12. Trusted friends together. Every week, every 2 weeks, as you like. But get that right now. In your house, in cafes, in your church, wherever you are. Get that small group. And you do 4 things whenever you meet. You pray, you break bread together, you study the word, and you share your lives. You support one another.
Right.
Whenever your friend fell down, you get him or her up. That is how Jesus trained his disciples, his 12 disciples. That's how he did it. We have to do the same. He gave us the model. He gave us the design. But through time, we forgot that. Get back to that. It's only that way you become the disciples of Jesus and change your life. These are the 3 pieces of advice from what I learned from Jesus.
I think he's gone from being a prime minister to a preacher. Higher calling. Can we give a big hand